Welcome to Total Football Episode 4, full time Arsenal 5, Leeds United 0. Now, I said in the week in one of my second videos, I said that Arsenal were going to put a few goals past Leeds United. I was that confident. And looking at the lineup, Madueke, Saka, Odegaard, Zubamendi, Gyokeres, it looked like it was going to be a very, very good day for Arsenal in terms of attacking football. However, after the first 10 to 30 minutes, it looked a bit bleak, and you have to give credit to Leeds United. I thought they were very, very good in their press, and they made it extremely difficult for us to go and play the way we usually play, our attacking football, our position football. They pressed us really well, and we couldn't get, that fluent possession football, onto the ball. And you have to say that the thing I enjoy most about Arsenal Football Club, is the fact that, this season and not last season, the fact that we have the ability to score goals from set pieces. So if we are playing badly or poorly, the fact that we are so strong when it comes to set pieces, it gives us an extra option, to go and score a goal. And once we nick that goal and went ahead, um, the flag gets opened. We started to create more opportunities. We were more confident on the ball. There was more space, because Leeds had to come and play football, So credit to Arsenal, for scoring from the corner kick, to give us a confidence, to go and play our football. On the downside, Bukayo Saka and Odegaard both went off injured, and it's a bit like last season. We had so many of our attacking players injured at the same time. However, you have to say the difference this season is the fact that when Saka came off, Odegaard came off, we had Waneri in that number 10 role, and we had Madueke going onto the right with Trossard going onto the left, So, and the good news, about today's game is before the game kicked off, Arsenal have officially announced, or has officially announced, Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. Official. He's been in the stands. He watched the game today, and after every single goal, the cameras moved to him just to see that smile on his face, standing up and applauding his new teammates. And you know the injury to Odegaard and Saka, it's disappointing because they are two of our best players, especially in attack. But the fact that we have, we can call upon Eze to go into that number 10 role if Odegaard, has a lengthy spell on the injury line, and having Madueke in his natural right wing position, it gives us a bit of hope that we will, be able to survive, and the fact is, this season is not just the fact. It's not just the fact that we have depth in the squad. It's the fact that we have quality in that depth. So having Eze on the 10 and Madueke on the right with Martinelli or Truss on the left, it's not as bad as it was last season when we had so many players injured, and we couldn't really field that experience quality attack. Um, and let's talk about our number 14. Victor Gyokeres, 2 goals today. There was so much hate and so much criticism, about him last week, and rightly so. I thought he had a poor game against Manchester United, but today he showed more of what we've seen from him in the Portuguese league, So the fact that he took the ball for the penalty, and he took responsibility. That's the confidence I want to see, and this the responsibility I want to see from a number 14. He's a goal scorer. He scores goals, So for him to take the ball and go and score from the penalty spot, fantastic confidence from him. So a clean sheet, 5 goals scored. That's 2 clean sheets in our first 2 games. We could not have asked for a better start, to the season. However, things start getting tough. Next week, Liverpool at Anfield, followed by Nottingham Forest, Man City, Newcastle. These are the games that's going to show us how serious we are about challenging for this title. Actually, about winning this title, because I strongly believe after the announcement of Eze, we on paper have the strongest team in the Premier League. We've had the strongest defense in the Premier League for the past couple of seasons. So to have the midfield of Rice and Zubamendi and Odegaard, easily top 3 in Europe in terms of midfield on paper, and to have Gyokeres, Saka, Eze, Martinelli, Trossard, Madueke on paper, that is an extremely strong forward line, So the difference between Arsenal and the rest of Europe, the stronger teams like Barcelona, PSG, Man City, Liverpool, is the fact that they have managers who can do it. They have managers who can get their team over the line to win a trophy. Last season, Onslaught, Premier League. Luis Enrique, Champions League. You know, um, Man City haven't won a trophy, but they are always there within finals. They are always competing for the titles, and this season is the season that Arteta has to go and win a trophy. I do not care if it's an FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Premier League, Champions League. He has to go and win something. He has a squad. He has a squad depth, and it's not just the first 11. It's the fact that he has players on the bench who can come on and make a difference. I mean, Martinelli today didn't get game time. He didn't get any game time. Havertz out injured. Jesus out injured. You know, there's so much quality on our bench. It's so good to see for once that Arsenal have game changers on the bench. Eze not in the squad today. So it's good to be an Arsenal supporter right now because we have a team, not the first 11. We have a squad of good quality players who can go and make a difference. So if you have players like Saka and Odegaard who are injured, you have players like Eze and Madueke who can come in, and the quality of the first 11 does not drop. So that's a good thing. And looking at the early result today, Man City Spurs 2-1-2-0, you have to say that Spurs are looking good this season. They are looking good this season. A lot of people say that City are dark horses for the Premier League. People were so focused on Liverpool and Arsenal. And last season, when Man City went to Burnley and slapped them 4-0, people were saying, do not ignore Man City. For them to go and lose today 2-0 at home to Spurs, it genuinely feels like the title will be between Arsenal and Liverpool, but it's only 2 games. Um, Look at Leeds United last week. They went and beat Everton 1-0. Suddenly, they look like the most likely promoted team to stay up, and they go and get beat 5-0 today. However, we have to remember that Leeds United and Arsenal, it's not going to be the games that that's going to define their season. Arsenal are on a completely different level to Leeds United. And that's not being disrespectful to them in any way. We are fighting for the title. We are fighting for the Champions League. We are Leeds. We as Leeds are just, they are just trying to stay up. So um, looking at next week's game, Anfield, it's going to be an extremely tough game. Extremely tough game today. Max Darwin came on as well today, and he won the penalty. He looked promising as well for 15-year-old. He looks like he could go and achieve great things. Gyokeres, let's just talk about Gyokeres for a moment. 24 touches today. He had 12 touches in the first half and 12 touches in the second half. He had 2 shots on target all game. Those 2 shots, goals. So it's not about how many touches you have and how much you influence the game. It's about how clinical you are when you get the opportunities. Because at the end of the day, we bought Victor Gyokeres to go and score goals. And for him to be as clinical as he was today, to score 2 goals on 2 shots, that says a lot about him. And that will do his confidence the world of good. Now, let me know in the comments who you think should be in our starting front four next week at Anfield. Without Odegaard and Saka, do we go with Martinelli on the left, Eze in the center, and Madueke on the right behind Victor Gyokeres? Do we take a risk and play Max Darwin? Do we take a risk and play Martinelli on the right or Trossard on the right and Madueke on the left? Let me know in the comments where you think should be in our starting 11 behind Victor Gyokeres. So like, comment, subscribe, and catch you later.